Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Coming up in the next hour. India ready to help end the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Prime Minister Narendra Modi tells President Putin in Kazan on the sidelines of the 16th BRICS summit. The 6th India-Singapore Defence Ministers' dialogue takes place in New Delhi. India's Rajnath Singh highlights importance of defence ties in India's Act East policy. Israel strikes Lebanon, at least 13 dead, 57 wounded near Beirut Hospital. US Secretary of State Blinken meets Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to revive the Gaza ceasefire talks. And German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to pay an official visit to India from October 24th for the 7th intergovernmental consultations. Our first news from the 16th BRICS summit at Kazan, Russia. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to Russia, where he began the day's engagements with meeting Russian President Vladimir Putin. Both leaders held discussions in several areas of mutual interests, including regional and other international issues. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India has deep and historical ties with Kazan city. Prime Minister Modi added the opening of India's new embassy in Kazan will further strengthen bilateral ties.
मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि ब्रिक्स समिट के लिए कजान जैसे खूबसूरत शहर में आने का अवसर मिला है। इस शहर के साथ भारत के गहरे और ऐतिहासिक संबंध रहे हैं। कजान में भारत के नए कॉन्सुलेट के खुलने से ये संबंध और मजबूत होंगे।
Speaking on the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, Prime Minister Modi said differences should be resolved in a peaceful manner.
एक्सेलेंसी, रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच चल रहे संघर्ष के विषय पर हम लगातार संपर्क में रहे हैं। जैसा मैंने पहले भी कहा है, हमारा मानना है कि समस्याओं का समाधान शांतिपूर्ण तरीके से ही होना चाहिए। शांति और स्थिरता की जल्द से जल्द बहाली का हम पूरी तरह समर्थन करते हैं। हमारे सभी प्रयास मानवता को प्रमुखता देते हैं। आने वाले समय में भी भारत हर संभव सहयोग देने के लिए तैयार है। एक्सेलेंसी, आज इन सभी विषयों पर विचार साझा करने का एक और महत्वपूर्ण अवसर है।
Russian President Vladimir Putin said India and Russia share strategic partnership. He added that several important decisions need to be taken to improve the working of BRICS.
We appreciate the ongoing Indo-Russian cooperation as important. Russia and India have a special privileged partnership which keeps growing. We welcome your decision to open Council General in Kazan. The relations between the two nations will improve under your leadership.
Both leaders met on the sidelines of the 16th BRICS summit, which is being held in the Russian city of Kazan. Beginning the day, Prime Minister Modi received a warm welcome at the Hotel Korston. Speaking about which, Prime Minister Modi said that the Indian community has distinguished itself all over the world with their accomplishments. He added that equally gladdening is the popularity of Indian culture globally.
Bharat आकाश गूंजे गूंजे जहां सारा आकाश में मोदी भारत माता की
The summit is themed on strengthening multilateralism for just global development and security. This is the first BRICS summit of the grouping after it was expanded in Johannesburg last year. The BRIC as a formal grouping started after the meeting of the leaders of Russia, India and China in St. Petersburg in 2006. It was agreed to expand BRIC into BRICS with the inclusion of South Africa in 2010. Last year's expansion was the first such exercise since 2010. The new members included Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran and the United Arab Emirates. And DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us live from the studio in New Delhi for more. Akshay, India has reiterated peaceful resolution for the Russia-Ukraine conflict and has asked to go back to the dialogue table. A word on the opening remarks made by Prime Minister Modi and President Putin.
Well, we once again saw the bonhomie between the two leaders in Kazan today when Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Vladimir Putin held the discussions on various issues, especially the opening bilateral that was held between the two leaders, clearly exemplified the kind of friendship that the two countries have. There are historic ties between India and Russia, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself mentioned how India is historically connected to the city of Kazan as well, where India has decided to open a new consulate, which is going to further strengthen the relations between the two countries. Now, when it comes to the statement that was given by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he once again has reiterated the stance that India has as far as the Ukraine-Russia conflict is concerned. Prime Minister Narendra Modi in front of Vladimir Putin, which is quite rare. No other world leader has ever made such a statement in front of Vladimir Putin when it comes to the conflict that has been going on for over 1 year now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi once again reiterated that India sides the side of peace and stability in the region. He also said that the resolution of conflict can only be found on discussion table. It has to be through dialogue and not through war on the ground. And this is a stance that Prime Minister Narendra Modi took in the month of July as well, when he went to Moscow and met Vladimir Putin. Then he went and also met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He again then went to the United States of America, and this is unprecedented on the scale of the kind of intervention that India has been trying to make when it comes to bringing peace to this particular conflict. We clearly saw that the two countries share still a lot of deep friendship when it comes to various sectors, be it pharmaceutical sector, be it aviation, be it defense sector, that in fact was one of the most important sectors between the two countries. But now in other areas as well, be it IT skills that India has and can share with Russia, or other technological know-hows when it comes to different areas, the two countries are in fact on a path to enhance their trade, to strengthen the relationship and further deepen their friendship.
Okay. With which other leaders is Prime Minister Narendra Modi likely to hold bilaterals today?
Well, there is no certainty, Tanvi, when it comes to the decisions on the bilaterals. They are still being worked out. There is a likelihood of bilaterals with other BRICS founding members as well. And we will get a clarity on that when the Ministry of External Affairs holds a press conference today later in the evening. That will be in Kazan again. So as of now, the bilateral that has happened between the two leaders of Russia and India has re-energized what we can see in terms of friendship between the two countries. But we still have to wait to get a confirmation on the bilaterals that are likely to be held in Kazan.
Okay, before I let you go, Akshay, could you shed some light on why the theme of the 16th BRICS Summit, strengthening multilateralism for just global development and security, is of special importance at this point in world's history?
Well, Tanvi, let's look at the last 20 years of the developments that have taken place in the world. In fact, let's go back 30 years after the fall of Soviet Union. The world was left with just one superpower. It was just the United States of America when it comes to the military might and economic being an economic powerhouse. But now we are seeing several major players emerge. Be it we have seen Africa as being one of the continent that, if united, in terms of decisions, can be an economic powerhouse, can be another pole of the world. Then we have a country like India, that is the world's fastest growing major economy. That is, in fact, the world's youngest country in terms of the number of youngsters we have. That is also the world's largest democracy. And has a lot of technological know-hows or expertise in various sectors when it comes to economic growth and other aspects that it can share with the world. You also have China, then you have Russia, you have Europe. So now the world has changed into a multipolar world. India has been talking about the welfare of the global south. It has been talking about being the voice of the global south, that it has been as well. So the stance of India has been clear that the older setup of how the world used to run. Earlier, it was a bipolar world between the Soviet bloc and the Western bloc. Then again, it became a unipolar world, and now it is becoming a multipolar world. Multilateralism is extremely important because to find conflicts, to resolution of conflicts like the one that's taking place between Russia and Ukraine, or the conflict that's taking place in West Asia, multilateralism is the key. No one country should be holding power over all the other countries in the world, and no one country should be having its say when it comes to different aspects of human growth, be it technological monopolies that have been built over the past 30 years. So India has been trying hard to break those monopolies, those hegemonies that have been built around the world, the silos where how countries have been working, and that is what India has been saying, that the world is one. The countries have to have relations with each other, friendly relations, and share the resources that all the humans have equal rights on. So multilateralism is the way forward for global peace, for global development, and that has been India's stance, and that is what is the major focus
global
of BRICS
development.
countries
Yes.
as well.
Yes. Thank you very much, Akshay Dongre, for those updates. And as Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Russia to attend the BRICS Summit, DD India's Jessica Taneja spoke with Indian students about their expectations and views on multilateral engagements at these forums.
Kazan is home to more than 1,000 Indian students, some studying medicine, others arts and culture. Let's try and speak to a few of them and understand how they've been able to settle in and what they've learned so far. You guys have been here for some time now. What has your experience been like as medical students?
Actually, if medical students, we came here to Kazan to become a doctor. But not only becoming a doctor is only our, it's a profession, but rather than that, when we come to a different country from India, we learn a lot in our life, because of right now we are in the BRICS Summit. It's like one of the biggest summit in the world, and we are seeing our Prime Minister, not only our Prime Minister, also the greatest leaders of the world.
As Prime Minister has arrived, especially in Kazan, it's like a really great thing for us, and as a student, we would be very happy that our Prime Minister is here and we are able to meet him, greet him, and it's a special thing for us.
India and Russia has always been friends, and I guess it plays a very huge role in us choosing a country. It's safer and our political relations are good, and this summit has intensified the friendship we had.
No, as students, we've been here for nearly 6 years now, and we've been continuously taking part in events like this. And being here in Kazan, we get great opportunities to interact with people like such higher officials, and even seeing our Prime Minister in person.
I think firstly, how we were mentioning earlier, that it has been quite an exposure for students like us, especially being so far away from our home places. No, it speaks volume about the India-Russia relationship, and definitely with the kind of help and the exposure that we have been given by the embassy, and how we are able to participate will definitely, I think, will help us develop our personalities. I think it's a huge boost to the city, our country's relation, and also our personal achievements.
Indian students, more than 1,000 as I pointed out earlier, expectations from the Prime Minister's visit, but also feeling that they're in an electrifying atmosphere right here in Kazan, something the city hasn't been seeing for the recent past.
DD India's Jessica Taneja reporting from Kazan, where 16th BRICS Summit is underway. Still to come on DD India News Hour. So with just 2 weeks to Election Day, Kamala Harris tries to woo Republicans, while Donald Trump says supernatural hand saved him from being assassinated. Cubans bang pots to protest crippling days-long blackout as Storm Oscar brings historic flooding.
Who will be the next president of United States of America?
Will Donald Trump make a dramatic comeback, or will Kamala Harris become America's first woman president?
It's a tight race to the White House.
The knives are out and the battle lines sharply drawn.
He's becoming increasingly unstable and unhinged.
She's a threat to democracy because she shouldn't even be the candidate.
I'm Amritpal Singh.
I'm Shubhendu Ghosh.
We travel across the United States
to decode the issues at the heart of this polarized election.
Watch this space only on DD India.
जिंदगी की हर छोटी बड़ी जरूरत के लिए आप जो सपने सजाते हैं, बस उसी उम्मीद को तो हम सहारा लगाते हैं। SIP आपकी सेविंग्स को आपकी खातिर काम पर लगाएगी। आज ही अपनी पहली SIP की शुरुआत करें। अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपने वित्तीय सलाहकार से परामर्श करें। LIC म्यूचुअल फंड द्वारा निवेशक शिक्षा की एक पहल।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिम के अधीन है। योजना से संबंधित सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
You're watching DD India News. I am Tanvi Taneja. The crossroads of democracy, the 2024 United States presidential election is now just 2 weeks away. The world watches. America stands at a pivotal moment in its history as the election promises to be a defining political contest shaping the nation's trajectory for generations to come. The battle is close. DD India's Antara Sinha has more.
Things are heating up in the US. The 2024 United States presidential elections are set to be held on the 5th of November. It has become the hottest topic for political enthusiasts globally. With the last leg of campaigning going on now, both presidential candidates, US Vice President Kamala Harris and former US President Donald Trump, are putting their heart and soul into the process, along with sharp attacks at each other. A recent Reuters poll has indicated that with the US drawing nearer to the November 5 presidential election, Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris leads Republican Donald Trump by just 3 percentage points, with 45% to 42%. As the race for the presidency heats up, Harris and Trump conveyed a very different message about the polls, with Harris saying that Trump is a threat to democracy.
Imagine Donald Trump, based on everything we know about him and everything we see now and before, imagine him with no guardrails. Because all of those folks who worked with him before, they're not those who held him back, who attempted to ensure that he would follow the law, are no longer there.
While Donald Trump rejects the notion of being a threat to democracy, rather argues that it is Democrats who are the real threat to democracy. Having survived multiple assassination attempts in the past, he has said that God has saved him for a purpose.
But as I look back at my life's journey and events, I now recognize that it's been the hand of God leading me to where I am today. And my faith took on new meaning on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania, where I was knocked to the ground, essentially, by what seemed like a supernatural hand. And I would like to think that God saved me for a purpose, and that's to make our country greater than ever before.
With opinion polls showing a close race, the two candidates are picking up the pace. Their frenzied campaign schedules underlining the importance of small pockets of voters that could put their candidate over the top. Antara Sinha for DD India.
On to West Asia now. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem to make another push for an elusive ceasefire. Blinken is also due to meet Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and other officials at the start of his week-long trip that will also take him to Jordan and Qatar. Earlier on Tuesday, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken reached Israel, the first stop of a wider West Asia tour aimed at reviving Gaza ceasefire talks. His 11th trip to the region since beginning of the conflict comes as the Israeli military intensified its campaign in the Palestinian enclave as well as in Lebanon against Hezbollah. So the visit of Blinken comes on a day when Hezbollah launched volleys of rockets at two key bases near Tel Aviv and a naval base west of Haifa. Hezbollah said it had fired rockets at the Glilot base used by Unit 8200 of Israel's military intelligence and the Nirit area in Tel Aviv's suburbs. The group said it also fired rockets at a naval base outside of the port city of Haifa further north. There were no immediate reports of casualties. However, Israeli authorities declared a state of emergency in the Tel Aviv area and all air traffic at Ben Gurion Airport has been halted. So this comes after a heavy night of Israeli strikes on Lebanon's south and the southern suburbs of its capital. The explosion in Beirut before daybreak caused sparks to fly into the air and released a black plume of smoke. The Israeli strikes in Beirut's southern suburbs included one near the Rafiq Hariri University's hospital, the capital's main government hospital. Meanwhile, India has sent humanitarian assistance for the people of Palestine through the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. The first tranche of assistance, comprising 30 tons of medicine and food aid, has departed on Tuesday. The consignment includes a wide range of essential medicines and surgical supplies, dental products, general medical items and high-energy biscuits. On to Europe. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz welcomed Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani in Berlin on Tuesday. Both leaders meet to deepen economic and diplomatic ties between the two countries. Global security issues are also on the agenda. Qatar is a strategic partner for Germany as an alternative source of energy supplier after the Russia-Ukraine conflict began in 2022. Qatar is also a key investor in the German economy. South Korea has pledged countermeasures in line with the level of military cooperation between Russia and North Korea. The comments came as South Korea's presidential office urged Pyongyang to immediately withdraw North Korean troops that Seoul says have been dispatched to Russia to help in its war with Ukraine. We have a report. Russia-North Korea military cooperation is now the talk of the hour for global leaders. This comes after China, South Korea and US have voiced concerns over North Korea's troop deployment to fight alongside Russia in Ukraine. The US stressed that it is a dangerous move for North Korea to send its troops to Russia.
We have seen reports the DPRK has sent forces and is preparing to send additional soldiers to Ukraine to fight alongside Russia. If true, this marks a dangerous and highly concerning development and an obvious deepening of the DPRK-Russia military relationship. We are consulting with our allies and partners on the implications of such a dramatic move.
The comments came as South Korea's presidential office urged Pyongyang to immediately withdraw North Korean troops that Seoul says have been dispatched to Russia for the war with Ukraine. South Korea has also pledged countermeasures over North Korea-Russia military cooperation.
The government is calling for the immediate withdrawal of the North Korean troops, and if the current military collusion between North Korea and Russia continues, we will not tolerate but act firmly with the international community. The government will execute gradual steps in response in line with the developments in the Russia-North Korea military cooperation following the deployment of North Korean troops.
On Friday, South Korea's National Intelligence Service said North Korea has sent 1,500 special operation forces to Russia earlier this month to support Moscow. However, both Moscow and Pyongyang have denied the claims, and US officials have said that they are still investigating the reports. Bureau Report, DD India. Cubans took to streets in large numbers, protesting against the unending power outage woes complicated by Tropical Storm Oscar that made a landfall on Sunday. Protesters were seen banging pots, chanting, "Turn on the lights," as the island country is reeling under stark power outage and unending blackouts due to recent grid failures, the latest being on Monday. This also has affected the tourism industry and workers alike there. The nationwide blackout is adding to the concerns of people as they are also suffering with the shortages of essential items due to Storm Oscar. Earlier on Monday, Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel stated that 90% power had been restored to capital Havana. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Britain will lend Ukraine $2.94 billion as part of a broader loan package from G7 countries, supported by frozen Russian central bank assets to assist with purchasing weapons and rebuilding war-damaged infrastructure. In the U.S. state of Washington, 5 people, including 3 children and 2 adults, were killed in a shooting at a home near Seattle, while a girl who lived in the house was also injured. A 15-year-old boy is in the custody for killings. The sheriff's department said that it was still working to determine the motive for the violence. King Charles III greeted crowds at Sydney Opera House on Tuesday, marking the public finale of his first major overseas trip since his cancer diagnosis. You're with us on DD India News Hour, still to come on the show. There's no shortage of oil in the world, says India's Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister at the 7th GSTIC conference in New Delhi. India likely to see real GDP growth at 7.2% for fiscal year 2024-25, says RBI Governor Shaktikant Das.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
जिंदगी की हर छोटी बड़ी जरूरत के लिए आप जो सपने सजाते हैं, बस उसी उम्मीद को तो हम सहारा लगाते हैं। SIP आपकी सेविंग्स को आपकी खातिर काम पर लगाएगी। आज ही अपनी पहली SIP की शुरुआत करें। अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपने वित्तीय सलाहकार से परामर्श करें। LIC म्यूचुअल फंड द्वारा निवेशक शिक्षा की एक पहल।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिम के अधीन है। योजना से संबंधित सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. A quick look at the headlines we're tracking at this hour. India ready to help end the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Prime Minister Narendra Modi tells this to President Putin in Kazan on the sidelines of the 16th BRICS summit. The 6th India-Singapore Defence Ministers Dialogue takes place in New Delhi. India's Rajnath Singh highlights the importance of defence ties in India's Act East policy. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to pay an official visit to India from October 24th for the 7th intergovernmental consultations. So India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and his Singaporean counterpart Dr. Ng Hing Hen held the 6th India-Singapore Defence Ministers Dialogue in New Delhi on Tuesday. The event also marks 10 years of India's Act East policy.
Singapore Minister of Defence Dr. Ng Hen was accorded Guard of Honour at the Manekshaw Centre in Delhi. The two defence ministers later co-chaired the 6th India-Singapore Defence Ministers Dialogue. Speaking on the occasion, India's Minister of Defence Rajnath Singh said this bilateral meeting follows Prime Minister Narendra Modi's successful visit to Singapore earlier this year. He stressed that defence cooperation is an important area of the bilateral relations between the two countries.
दोनों देशों के रिलेशनशिप का कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव पार्टनरशिप का पहुंचना हमारे देशों के बीच बढ़ती निकटता का ये प्रमाण है। ये मीटिंग ऐसे समय में हो रही है कि भारत अपनी एक्ट ईस्ट पॉलिसी का एक दशक पूरा कर रहा है, जिसमें सिंगापुर ने महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है। इस रीजन के देशों में इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन, कल्चरल टाई और स्ट्रेटजिक कनेक्टिविटी के विकास में भी आपकी बहुत ही अहम भूमिका रही। हमारी बायलैटरल पार्टनरशिप का एक महत्वपूर्ण क्षेत्र है जो तीनों सर्विसेज के बीच फोकस डिफेंस कोऑपरेशन मैकेनिज्म्स और कंटिन्यूअस एंगेजमेंट के माध्यम से ये लगातार बढ़ रहा है।
The Defence Minister of Singapore is visiting India with a top military brass that includes the colonel rank officers of all the three services. Reciprocating at the opening remarks of the Defence Minister of India, Dr. Hen said that for Singapore, India has always been part of the East. This meeting would surely strengthen the bilateral ties between the two nations. He said the meeting aims to carry forward defence cooperation between the two countries. Both sides are expected to exchange views on regional and global issues of shared interest. Vishal Baristo's report for DT India.
So earlier, the visiting dignitary, Dr. Hen, laid a wreath at the National War Memorial. He also signed the visitors' book there. Hardeep Singh Puri, Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas of India, participated in the 7th Global Sustainable Technology and Innovation Community Conference today. Speaking on oil prices, the minister said that there is no shortage of oil in the world and it depends on global factors. The conference was held in New Delhi and aims at accelerating technological solutions for the SDGs.
It depends on global factors. One thing is very clear, there is no shortage of oil in the world. Today, more and more oil is coming on the market. There are other factors like geopolitical tensions, etc. So what happens? There's no shortage of oil, but if there's tension in one part of the world, then the cost of, if you have to take a longer route, then the cost of the freight cost, the insurance freight cost, that will go up. But today, let us all, including the fourth distinguished members of the fourth estate, the press, let's all say that, oh, better sense prevails, the call for peace, etc., which our Prime Minister has been making from every forum, that is time for diplomacy and for finding solutions.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz will pay an official visit to India from October 24th for the 7th intergovernmental consultations. The German Chancellor, along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, will co-chair the 7th intergovernmental consultations on October 25th. The two leaders will also hold bilateral talks to discuss enhanced security and defence cooperation, greater opportunities for the mobility of talent, deeper economic cooperation, green and sustainable development partnership, and collaboration in the areas of emerging and strategic technologies. The discussions will also focus on important regional and global developments. Both leaders will also address the 18th Asia-Pacific Conference of German Business being held in New Delhi. About 650 top business leaders and CEOs from Germany, India and other countries are expected to participate in the event. Chancellor Scholz has visited India twice last year for a bilateral state visit in February 2023 and to attend the G20 Leaders Summit in September 2023. India and Germany have a strategic partnership since the year 2000. The two countries are celebrating 50 years of science and technology collaboration this year as well. Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikant Das highlighted the resilience of India's growth story, forecasting a real GDP growth of 7.2% for fiscal year 2024-25. He emphasized that rising consumption and investment demand, bolstered by improved agricultural conditions and rural demand, will drive this growth. He noted that strong performance in the services sector will further enhance urban demand. Additionally, government expenditure is expected to align with budget estimates, while CPI inflation for 2024-25 is projected at 4.5%. The third edition of Indian Navy's Naval Innovation and Indigenization Seminar, Swavalamban 2024, will be held at Bharat Mandapam in Delhi later this month. This initiative has enabled collaboration with more than 200 MSMEs and startups under the IDEX scheme. The event will showcase products of niche technologies such as air and service surveillance, autonomous systems in surface, aerial and underwater domains, AI and quantum technologies.
We have converted about 2,000 challenges that we have put out so far in the Swavalamban 1, which was 2022, 2022, 2023. In these two, we put out about 2,000 challenges, of which we've got the acceptance of necessity of the government for about 171, 172. And we've signed contracts that go to something like 1,194 crores already.
India Pavilion was inaugurated at the MIPCOM 2024, the global market for entertainment content across all platforms in Cannes, France. India's Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and the Ministry of Commerce and Industry jointly inaugurated the pavilion on Tuesday. The ceremony was graced by the CEO of Prasar Bharati, Gaurav Dwivedi, besides others, who were accompanied by a ministerial delegation highlighting India's collaborative efforts in the global media space. With the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting's strategic focus on building international partnerships and its Create in India brand message, India is positioning itself as a global content hub ready to shape the future of entertainment worldwide. Some weather updates from India now. The coastal states of West Bengal and Odisha are on high alert as Cyclone Dana approaches and is expected to make a landfall on October 24th. According to the Met Department, Cyclone Dana is likely to strike the North Odisha and Bengal coasts between Puri and Sagar Island during Thursday night and early Friday morning as a severe cyclonic storm. In view of this, a red warning has been issued of heavy rainfall with isolated extremely heavy rainfall and thunderstorm with lightning. Fishermen have been advised not to venture into the sea between October 23rd and October 25th. The weather system is also expected to bring light to moderate rain along the coasts and in South Bengal, including Kolkata, beginning Wednesday. Next, we take a look at other stories making news in India. Heavy overnight rains in Bengaluru on Tuesday led to flooding and inundation of several areas in North Bengaluru. Kendriya Vihar apartments at Yelahanka were inundated a second time in 2 weeks. A national disaster response team has been pressed into service for providing assistance to the residents through boats. Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir Manoj Sinha on Tuesday visited Gagangir area of Ganderbal district where terrorists had killed 7 people in a tunnel. Lieutenant Governor interacted with the officials and workers and discussed measures to ensure their safety and security. The newly appointed chief of the National Commission for Women, Vijaya Kishore Rahatkar, took charge at the New Delhi office on Tuesday. Rahatkar has become the 9th chairperson of the National Commission for Women. She has succeeded Rekha Sharma, whose tenure ended in August this year. Still to come on DD India News Hour. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman tours the New York Stock Exchange, lauds India's emerging role in the New World Order. And South Korean auto major Hyundai launches India's biggest IPO in Mumbai.
जिंदगी की हर छोटी बड़ी जरूरत के लिए आप जो सपने सजाते हैं, बस उसी उम्मीद को तो हम सहारा लगाते हैं। SIP आपकी सेविंग्स को आपकी खातिर काम पर लगाएगी। आज ही अपनी पहली SIP की शुरुआत करें। अधिक जानकारी के लिए अपने वित्तीय सलाहकार से परामर्श करें। LIC म्यूचुअल फंड द्वारा निवेशक शिक्षा की एक पहल।
म्यूचुअल फंड निवेश बाजार के जोखिम के अधीन है। योजना से संबंधित सभी दस्तावेजों को ध्यान से पढ़ें।
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is in the United States, where she was hosted by Lynn Martin, President of the New York Stock Exchange, on her visit to the largest bourse in the world. The Finance Minister also took a tour of the National Historic Landmark and looked at the aspects of trading at the NYSE. The bourse displayed 11 Indian companies trading. Addressing a gathering at the NYSE, Sitharaman emphasized India's emerging role in the New World Order.
By 2047, as India celebrates 100 years of independence, we will have a chance to define a new era of prosperity, not just for our own citizens, but for the global community as well. India's role in the world is expanding, and we stand ready to engage constructively with the international community. While there are challenges ahead, there are also abundant opportunities for India to lead the way, not just in economic terms, but in shaping the global discourse on technology, sustainability, and inclusive growth.
South Korean auto major Hyundai Motor India Limited (HMIL) launched the country's biggest initial public offering IPO on Tuesday in India's financial capital Mumbai, with shares closing 7.1% down from their issue price of 1,960 rupees. The shares of Hyundai Motor India were listed on the NSE and BSE at 1,934 and 1,931 rupees respectively, a discount of 1.3% against the issue price. Being India's number 2 car maker, Hyundai has a market share of 15%. Its record $3.3 billion IPO was oversubscribed more than twofold last week, mostly by institutional investors, barring retail investors fearing loss. This listing in Mumbai is Hyundai Motor's first debut outside its home market and comes at a time when India's equity markets have risen sharply. So talking of stock market news, India's benchmark equity indices ended with a sharp fall of more than 1% on Tuesday. The Sensex at the BSE tanked 930 points and closed at 80,221, while the Nifty at the National Stock Exchange plunged 309 points to settle at 24,472. The Indian rupee settled flat at 84 rupees 7 paise against the US dollar on Tuesday. Meanwhile, US stock indices opened lower on Tuesday as rising treasury yields pressured rate-sensitive shares. So the Dow Jones fell 54.8 points and the S&P 500 fell 21.3 points. You're with us on DD India News Hour. Time now to bring you some sporting action. The 2026 Commonwealth Games, which will be held in Glasgow City of the United Kingdom, will feature only 10 sports in a bid to remain budget-friendly. The Games will run from July 23rd to August 2nd across 4 venues. It includes sports like athletics, swimming, artistic gymnastics, track cycling, netball, weightlifting, boxing, judo, bowls and 3x3 basketball. Among the sports to be axed are badminton, cricket, hockey and rugby sevens. The exclusion of these sports will severely impact India's medal prospects, though track cycling and boxing have been included. Glasgow also hosted the event in 2014. The Games were originally slated for Victoria in Australia, but the state withdrew as host in 2023 due to rising costs. The exclusion of hockey from the Glasgow Commonwealth Games comes as a big blow to Paris bronze medalist India. Indian men's hockey team captain Harmanpreet Singh and coach Craig Fulton have expressed their disappointment. More in this report.
Indian hockey team captain Harmanpreet Singh and coach Craig Fulton have expressed their disappointment over the exclusion of the hockey from the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Hockey, along with shooting, cricket, badminton, table tennis, squash and triathlon, has been dropped in a bid to limit costs and streamline logistics, as only 4 venues will host the entire event. These cuts have impacted several sports that have traditionally been strong contenders, particularly for nations like India.
It is what it is. Unfortunate. That's further down the line. That's for another time with bigger planning ramifications, and what happens then and what happens, I don't know.
वो भी एक टारगेट है अच्छा टूर्नामेंट का, और जो हमारा टारगेट था इस बार गोल्ड मेडल का था, बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली अभी ये न्यूज़ सुनने को मिल रही है, बट ये हमारे हाथ में नहीं, हम नहीं सोच सकते इसके बारे में.
Hockey has been a marquee event at the Commonwealth Games, especially for countries like India, Australia and England, which have rich hockey legacies. India's men's and women's team have consistently performed well, making this exclusion even more disheartening for players and fans. Narayan Singh's report for DD India.
America's 2-time Olympic champion in discus throw, Valerie Allman's first visit to India was memorable. The best part that Valerie liked about India is its energy, joy and positivity all around. In an exclusive conversation with DD India's Suchitra, Valerie said her favourite Indian sportsperson is Neeraj Chopra. She feels Neeraj is a global ambassador for sports.
We have with us 2-time Olympic gold medalist Valerie Allman. Valerie, welcome to India. And it's your first time in India. So what's the best part that you are liking about India?
I definitely feel like I'm so excited about the energy that's here. I can feel the joy, the positivity, the noise that the Indian people have brought to this world. And it's so special and so unique, and I'm just loving it.
Being a woman, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, what has been your biggest hurdle in your career?
Yeah, you know, I think as a woman, it's easy to not credit yourself, to not feel that sometimes your dreams or your passions are as supported as you would like. And I think I've come to realize that so much of it is your own energy that you're willing to believe into yourself. And it's one of the most powerful things I think that does exist in this world, and it's something that I'm trying to cultivate and lean into and really believe it helped me in my journey.
two-time Olympic gold medalist, and you have 2 medals in World Championship. So what's your next target? What's that one thing that you want to achieve in your career?
I am really hoping to earn the title of world champion. I've felt it so close in my grasp, and I've come up short the last 2, and I hope that in 2025 I can be healthy and be prepared and confident in my training to be able to maybe earn that title.
Do you follow some other sports? Who's your favorite Indian sports person, be it male or female?
I would have to say Neeraj Chopra. I mean, he's incredible, and in the world of athletics, he's such a global ambassador for sport, and for him to represent an entire country, it's just amazing how he carries himself.
How it helps an entire nation and little girls when you see a woman gold medalist?
It's one of the most impactful things to see someone that you connect with accomplish a big dream. I started throwing the discus and went to YouTube to find women that I thought were amazing at the craft and show me kind of the potential of what it could be. And now full circle to meet young girls who have looked at my videos or been inspired by how I throw. It's so empowering and definitely something that I think all women should try to be able to realize you don't have to fit into a box. You can be whoever you want to be and go after big dreams, and continuing to hear that message and it being pushed is so impactful.
Thank you so much.
Indian golfer Twesa Malik has a home ground advantage here at the Women Indian Open Golf Tournament. In an exclusive interaction with DD India's Deepika Mehto, Twesa spoke about the parity she sees between men and women golf here in India.
We have with us Twesa Malik, the golf champion. Twesa, when we talk about this particular tournament and your home ground, what sort of advantage are you having here?
Yeah, it's a very tough golf course. I think it's one of the toughest that we play all year. So I've played here a lot growing up, and I think that's definitely an advantage to know the golf course well and to have played here so many times and to have that comfort level here.
The kind of prize money we are having here, $400,000. What do you see when we talk about women and men playing together, and that too when we talk about their parity in pay?
Still a long way for us to go, but to have sponsors like Hero who have supported women's golf from the time that it started. They've supported me since the time that I've began my golf, and I'm beyond grateful for that, because I think growing up we didn't think that these kind of opportunities would have existed, I think, for women in a sport like golf in India. So it's really amazing to see how far it's come, and I think there's still a long way to go, and I have no doubt that we'll get there.
You've grown up in India, you've seen the changes that India has witnessed when we talk about its sporting landscape. What is that transformation that you've witnessed yourself and you would like that to improve it further?
I mean, it's light and day. Like when I started golf here and when I was playing as a junior, I mean, the aspirations at the time were so different from the young girls that you see nowadays. So it's really amazing to see the young girls coming up who are so great at such a young age. They're already dreaming so big. And I think just more exposure, being able to play more events, I think that's the difference, because I feel like it's only really the confidence that separates us.
So there you heard Twesa, who says that it's a bit of challenge for them, but at the same time it's a great opportunity for women golfers, and the road is still long ahead for them. With camera person Ajit, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Gurgaon.
And as we wind up this edition of DD India News Hour, let's take you to this exciting exhibition called The World of Tim Burton, as it's opening in London Museum. The show has a vast range of displays, from Edward Scissorhands to Wednesday, costumes to Beetlejuice and Corpse Bride, and much more. London's Design Museum is the last stop of the decade-long world tour of the show that will continue until April next year. So that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can download the DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. And of course, you can catch all the latest news and updates on all our Twitter, Instagram and Facebook handles at DD India Live. So we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.